Welcome to MSUA's Game Changers Live, where we speak with satellite and mobile connectivity thought leaders about industry trends, new technologies, and share what you need to know about where satellite technology is headed in the future. I'm your host, Lisa Dreer, and our guest today is Erwan Emilian. He is the co-founder and chairman of the board for SatLease Capital. Welcome to the show, Erwan.
Thank you, Lisa, as always. Thank you for hosting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for making time for this. Perhaps you can start by just giving us a little background on yourself and SatLease Capital.
Thank you. I did work a few years at Speedcast. And prior to that, I was CEO of IC Telecom Group, and I returned recently to be the newly appointed CEO of IC Telecom Group. And in the meantime, between Speedcast and this period, I have funded with some partners this startup, which is a lease tech called SatLease Capital, based in Switzerland. So we are headquartered here in Switzerland, and the subject is to provide all the satellite service providers access with capex financing. So we provide leasing options for the effort to grow and to seize new customers, which are more in demand these days of leasing options. So that's what we did. This company is fully funded. We have access to tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars of Swiss francs of capex financing, and we are very proud of this.
Wow, that's really exciting. I think that changes the game for a lot of organizations looking to use satellite services for their businesses. So, wow, really exciting.
Yes, it is. When I was working for IC Telecom, which is a tier 2 service provider, and then working for Speedcast as head of business unit, which belongs to tier 1 satellite service provider. We had the same issue, the same problem, which was how can we finance our customer capex over 36 months or 60 months, and make sure that the end user receives a single invoice, inclusive of the airtime and the equipment, just like the way you do when you stop by a GSM store and you have those offers, an Android or an iPhone for $1 or $50, but you have to pay for a 36 months, contract. You have to sign for a 36 months contract, and that's
Sure.
exactly what we do. We enable tier 2s and tier 1s to, instead of using their own line of financing or their cash into customer capex financing, we do it for them.
That is fantastic. Like I said, it's just, I think, a really, ironically, a game changer.
It is
Maybe,
absolutely unique, yes.
indeed. What do you believe will be the most important role that the satellite industry will play in the future of mobile connectivity?
So there is this trend where satellite becomes a commodity. What is not a commodity is to deliver higher and higher throughput. It's not easy, it's not simple. And what is not a commodity still is to deliver that throughput with a low latency. So we are seeing arriving the LEO constellations that will be supporting the GEO constellations in the effort to cover the entire world at sea and on land, but with a different aspect, with low latency, which means that we will see arriving a lot of new applications which will be in capacity to be used through this low latency service, And we at SatLease Capital, we are starting, but we will be helping end users to refresh their equipment, which evidently you can imagine that new constellations means new equipment. And so this is why we think that there is a bright future in financing customer equipment.
That's great. What will be some of the biggest changes that are going to happen over the next 3 to 5 years in terms of that mobile connectivity as these things come to fruition?
The interview that we are having here is somehow through fiber, but at some point there is a satellite maybe in between, and who knows what the Tonga Island experienced a month ago, which was the cut of the fiber in the Atlantic. So no fiber, no connectivity. Satellite connectivity allows you to have permanent connectivity, and evidently, I think that there's going to be more and more coverage, better coverage in the world. The prices will be decreasing a lot to the benefit to the customer, not to the benefit to the satellite operators, but they will find new ways of revenues, new ways of profits in adding up new services, like cybersecurity is a big thing these days. All of our customers are asking cybersecurity on top of a standard link, and I think that this is the big, and evidently all these LEO constellations coming out. So I'm sorry to say again, but LEO. Now you have the big news of 2 weeks ago, Viasat acquiring Inmarsat. Big news. I think that this is the K-band team. Viasat on K-band, Inmarsat already on K-band for their Global Express constellation. So we are as well going to see a lot of combats between K-band supply and Ku-band supply. Would the K-band supply be uniquely or be mostly used for aero, maybe, and so forth and so on. So we will have to look at this evolution. Nevertheless, new constellations means new equipment on the ground, means SatLease Capital.
All right. So there's, I think, kind of dovetailing into that is there's been a lot of talk in the satellite industry about standards and, moving away from proprietary solutions. What are your perspectives on that?
We are all living through more and more standards in our daily life. Now, if you look at Android versus iPhone is proprietary, Android is open. iPhone is probably 30% market share, 35% market share. Android is all the rest, is all the balance of that volume. So I think that more you are standard, more you are open, the better for the end user. Always look the client as a target, and the client is always right. So hooking a customer and leaving him into or behind bars. I call it bars because proprietary is always very dangerous. You always have the customer who wants to leave those bars. Okay, you put a bird in a cage, you open the door, and the bird will fly out, but he might come back because the door is open. So always keep doors open. Always.
Yeah. I think that this conversation about standards is just one of many really big shifts that are happening in our industry. And another is just that commercialization of space. How do you feel that that is either progressing or holding things back as we go into, I don't know, the next decade of satellite solutions and mobile connectivity?
When you mean commercialization of space, is what Mr. Bezos does with sending people out there and no, well, I'm not too interested into that subject because I think it's pushing the reality of our world behind the clouds, and it's avoiding looking at the reality. We have so much work to do here on Earth to keep it clean. Look, I was watching a video yesterday about this vessel who is cleaning the oceans, and in 1 hour and 39 minutes they pulled out 5 tons of plastic.
Wow.
So and evidently this vessel has satellite connectivity. Evidently, through that satellite connectivity, they have been able to promote to us that aspect, okay, by sending a video through the satellite connectivity. Without connectivity, without satellite connectivity, you wouldn't know what's going on in this world. Okay, so communication, sending video through satellite, doing an operation on the eye or on the heart at distance in Africa, where the surgeon is based somewhere else, in France, for example, or in Switzerland, the world will get better, and we will be able to support our fellows. So sending out people out there, it's not something that we have to do. It's they are playing with their dollars. Musk does something different. He's spending his money in sending out satellites for a better connectivity, the Starlink. I think that this is a game changer, and I thank him for that, because it is pushing OneWeb and Telesat to be better than what he is. Okay, so without Starlink, without Musk, our two largest promising LEO constellations, which are OneWeb and Telesat, would not be thinking out of the box. And I think that they are thinking these days out of the box, and we will be seeing nice equipment in the future, nice ways of doing business in the future, and competition is great.
Right. What do you think that these companies will face as the greatest challenges to providing a commercial satellite service for mobile applications?
The cost of handling a satellite or a constellation of satellites is going to be still very important, but there has been so many billions for the space segment that a lot hasn't been done for the ground segment. So it's always very fancy to send out satellites. You want to own hundreds and thousands of satellites, and you are Mr. Musk, or you are Mr. So it's good to have his own satellite. But what is terrible is that all these billions which are sent in the space, we are missing the hundreds of millions or the billions to have for our customers, for the users, to have the equipment. Okay, so a maritime antenna is still super expensive. So it's good for us at SatLease Capital, because then we can finance those equipment. But should the antenna be $50,000 or $5,000, it doesn't make a difference for a leaser. Okay, it's always cash that you want the end user not to use for capital, but to use to grow and probably expand externally, like buying other companies, distributing to the employees, and so forth and so on.
Got it. So as the user community, so enterprise, businesses are looking to implement these services, what are some of the criteria that they should be looking at as they consider different providers?
It's proximity. Proximity makes a difference. Proximity between the service provider and the end user. Okay, there's nothing else. Evidently, the quality of service, disponibility on weekends, at night, so 24/7, a true one. And there are companies like IC Telecom who are delivering those elements to the end users. Being close to your user, being close to your customer or to the headquarters is so important. You can interact immediately, you can ask questions, you can visit your customer, you can have lunch or dinner with your customer to understand the difficulty of his life and the life of the users on the land or on sea, and then you can interact. So proximity is very important. Service providers which are based in many places of this world are the ones who are going to win for the future and stay longer and maintain their customer base, limit the churn. Clearly, a global expansion is important in order to support your own customer base. Yes.
Right. So as users are looking at these new technologies that are coming and the new constellations and that sort of thing, what would you recommend they do to really get knowledgeable so that they're in a position to make really good decisions as they institute either new solutions or upgrade their existing solutions that they're using today?
First of all, each single satellite telecommunication user on Earth should be an MSUA member. Or at least they should receive your excellent newsletter and should look at the awards, the MSUA awards at Satellite Show 2022, because we are selecting the best breed of technology and we are publicizing it. So I think it is absolutely critical that each single user does that. Now, a user should be now convinced that there is no more financing limit. So he can look at new technology without asking himself, oh man, this is going to hurt my balance sheet. It's going to be too expensive and I cannot afford that. So I will buy second or third quality and so forth and so on. No, it's not the reality. The reality is you look at the technology that you want, that technology plus the service delivered by the satellite operator should provide the service that you need for your company and for your users, for the employees of your company. When that is done, when that choice is made by studying on the internet, by attending trade shows, by listening to your game changer, by looking at the MSUA website, then they have to go to a satellite service provider, okay, which has been accredited by the big satellite operators on this planet. ask for that technology and ask for financing. They don't have to pay cash. They don't have to, okay? They have to provide the right service for their end users, should the end users be on land or on maritime. So we help doing that. We help, for example, satellite service providers to fulfill their equipment quota with original equipment manufacturers. We help the satellite service providers to accomplish their quota on a quarterly basis. We finance their inventory. We finance the refresh of the equipment of their end users. That is a new way of looking at things, which is don't stay with old technologies. Look at the future. You want to buy that future? You can. Okay, there's no limit.
That's fantastic. It's very exciting. So, Erwan, I really want to thank you so much for being here today to share your insights on the satellite industry and mobile connectivity. We definitely would love to have you back again soon to talk about some of these topics in a deeper fashion.
Thank you, Lisa, and I will see you at Satellite Washington, D.C. at the end of March. I'll be very happy to fly again back to the US if the US accepts me. But if COVID allows all of us to travel, and I think that all of this is in our back now.
We can only hope.
History. It's
We
becoming
can only hope. So I also want to take a moment to thank the Mobile Satellite Users Association for hosting these sessions. To learn more about the MSUA, visit msua.org, and you can learn all about our weekly newsletter, our awards that are coming up. By the way, nominations are due by February 11th, so it's just a little over a week away. So get in those nominations, and definitely sign up to receive our weekly newsletter. You will get the latest of everything that is happening in the satellite industry, especially for mobile applications. Again, go ahead and visit msua.org, and we'll see you next time on MSUA's Game Changers Live.